Now. Good evening, I'm Kevin Christopher.
And I'm Nancy Cox. Thank you for joining us at 6. The hepatitis A outbreak continues to spread in Kentucky, and now the virus has claimed 2 more lives.
Both deaths in the last week were in Franklin County, increasing the number of cases there to 28. Conroy Deluche has more details from Frankfurt in tonight's LEX 18 Big Story at 6.
And these are the first 2 deaths reported in Franklin County due to this hepatitis A outbreak. 2 deaths that the health department officials say could have been prevented by a vaccine. As of October 20th, the number of reported Hep A cases in Kentucky stands at more than 2,200 across 94 of the 120 counties. 28 of those cases are in Franklin County, considered an outbreak level. And now out of 14 deaths, 2 are reported from Frankfurt. The risk factors have remained consistent since the outbreak started last August.
Any illicit drug use, not just IV drug use, any illegal drugs, any homelessness, working with or socializing, volunteering with the homeless or the drug-using population.
The state reports that out of the Hep A cases, homelessness was a factor in 40 of them, illicit drug use in more than 1,200, both were detected in more than 200 cases, and 405 were infected even though they were not exposed to risk factors. Judy Mattingly with the Franklin County Health Department strongly encourages 2 things: getting the Hep A vaccine and to practice careful and thorough hand washing. Covering the news in Frankfurt, Conroy Deluche, LEX 18 News.
Last week, 2 shoppers at a Louisville area Kroger died after a gunman opened fire. And police say that shooting was racially motivated.
Well, today a grand jury indicted the man on 2 counts of murder and wanton endangerment, as well as criminal attempted murder. But there was no mention of hate crime charges. LEX 18's Carolina Buchek is here to explain why.
All right, well, police made it clear this was a hate crime. They say Gregory Bush shot 2 people simply because they were black. So where are the hate crime charges? Well, in Kentucky, turns out there's no such thing. Hate crime is not a separate charge here. It's only a statute that comes up at sentencing, and murder, well, it's not even eligible for it.
1 week ago today, gunfire broke out in this Kroger. 2 people, innocently there just doing their shopping, were killed. And police say they were targeted by the white gunman simply because they were black.
The first victim in the case, Mr. Stollert, was shot from behind. He had no idea what was getting ready to happen.
One of the witnesses even told police they heard Gregory Bush say, quote, "Whites don't shoot whites." So everyone from police to politicians to prosecutors agree this was a hate crime.
When somebody is killed and the sole reason is their race or their gender, that's why this is so important to this community.
But in this situation, Kentucky's own hate crime law won't allow prosecutors to do much about this.
Kentucky's hate crime statute really does not help us at all. So that's why we did not, there is no separate charge to even charge. It's not even like a PFO where we'd have a status, or for enhancement, we can't even increase the punishment if someone were to be found guilty of a hate crime.
So here in Kentucky, this will simply be a murder case, but the death penalty, that is still an option. Now the feds, they have different laws and they can charge Gregory Bush with a hate crime. Will that happen though? Prosecutors say we'll have to wait and see. Back to you.
All right, Carolina, thank you. The New Jersey woman credited with preventing a possible school shooting in Kentucky is planning a visit to the Bluegrass. Mother of 3, Coley Bullen, reported a racist Facebook message from an Anderson County man to Kentucky State Police Trooper Josh Satterley. The next day, Dylan Jarrell was arrested, allegedly armed and ready to carry out a school shooting. Bull and Satterley met in person for the first time yesterday on Ellen DeGeneres' show. In a Facebook post, Bull said in part, "So to all my new friends in Kentucky, seems like the Bulls will be heading your way at the end of November." She goes on to say, "Let's just be kind to one another and see if we can't leave a better world for our kids," end quote. Trick-or-treating in many of our counties already happened yesterday because of this evening's forecast of something we've heard plenty about this month, rain.
It was a good decision, too. This October has been one of the top 10 rainiest in history. And as Eleanor Buckley tells us, we could break a record for the entire year at this rate.
Perhaps it seems a little extra rainy and gloomy around Lexington. And that could be because it has been.
It's been an incredibly wet year, as you know.
Usually, on average, October only gets about 3 inches of precipitation here in Lexington. But already this year, our storm tracker team is counting just over 5.5 inches of rain. And that doesn't include what we get today.
And you have a system coming in like we do that could put down 1 inch or 2, you can pick up a huge percentage of what you typically see for the entire month in one fell swoop. That's how wet it's been around here lately.
Although we would have to get over 2¼ inches this evening to top the October rainfall record, which seems unlikely, we're on track to top a different, much bigger record of most rainfall in an entire year.
I think we've got a good shot at it. I mean, we've been in a very persistent wet pattern here, and it really just doesn't show any signs of slowing up.
That number we are looking to top for most rainfall is more than 66 inches. And right now we are sitting at 59 inches, so we only have a little ways to go to beat the record.
You know, we get a couple of good rains through here. I think we may pick up 1 inch or 2 with what's coming tonight through Thursday into Friday. That number may be in jeopardy by the end of the year. We'll just have to wait and see how it plays out.
Covering the news in Lexington, Eleanor Buckley, LEX 18 News.
We have indeed moved to a threat index 1. You see the set is trimmed in green now. It's for a small area. It is not for everyone, and we're going to detail that coming up. By the way, to follow up on that annual rainfall story, we need a little bit less than 7 inches to get there. That's normal rain for November and December just to achieve that. And truthfully, with the amount of rain coming tonight and then the early part of next week, we may get there sooner rather than later. We have a flood advisory up. There has been a corridor, and it's been a narrow corridor, but it's been really heavy rain. It runs from Cynthiana to Millersburg to Georgetown. We have had some flooding problems on I-75 in Scott County around Georgetown. A couple accidents caused by the rain, and then it continues back to Frankfort. In fact, measured rainfall totals. Ron Malinowski picked up another ½ inch of rain since 5 o'clock, 2.2 inches there in Georgetown. Our storm tracker in Frankfort is Jesse Carter, measured 3.3 inches of rain since it began falling earlier this afternoon. Flood watch up through Friday morning, running from the I-64 corridor, Franklin, Scott County, up through Harrison County, Nicholas County, Fleming County, on up to the north in the Ohio River. And it's in that area, we'll say just north of I-64. That is your threat index of 1 for tonight into tomorrow. Max Track Live Doppler, there is your heavy rain. Thing is, the rain got toward Fayette County and then put the brakes on. Southern Fayette County has had very little rain at all. Northern western parts of the county have seen quite a bit more, and by the time you get to Scott and Bourbon County, it has been raining hard. And again, across Fayette County, not much south, a lot more to the north. So it's an interesting weather scenario. That's one of the reasons why the Halloweens were moved in some places. We're going to talk about what it looks like for the next couple of days in a couple of minutes.
All right, Bill, thanks. See you then.
Tonight, Temple Adith Israel here in Lexington is hosting a prayer vigil to remember the 11 people shot and killed during last Saturday's morning worship service at a Pittsburgh synagogue.
The temple is expecting so many people to attend that vigil, they moved it to the Fayette County Public Schools building on Main Street. And that's where LEX 18's Jacqueline Nye joins us live. Jacqueline?
Anyone and everyone in the community is invited here tonight to join them in showing solidarity for the Tree of Life congregation in Pittsburgh. Now, the rabbi at the Temple at Adith Israel says that they've had an outpouring of love and support ever since the news of the shooting came out on Saturday. With a big crowd expected here tonight, the rabbi says safety is their #1 priority. There will be a very high level of security with the chief of police and the Lexington mayor in attendance. Now, the room does fill a couple hundred people, and they are expecting a large crowd. So if you are planning on attending tonight, be sure to get here early. The vigil is scheduled to start at 7:30. Covering the news live in Lexington from the LEX 18 mobile newsroom, back to you.
Lexington police have new evidence in the case of a fatal hit and run that happened earlier this month.
And while police work to find out who's responsible for the crash, Catherine Collins learned that people who knew the victim say they won't allow him to be forgotten.
About a week and a half after police say 47-year-old John Oliver was killed when he was hit by a car while standing next to his bike, still many questions remain. But those who know him say one thing's for sure.
He will be remembered by his community and friends at the Catholic Action Center.
Catholic Action Center Director Ginny Ramsey says Oliver briefly stayed at the shelter this year and was well liked.
Never had difficulties with him. He was just struggling with his own life, like so many of the folks who are here at the Catholic Action Center are.
Those who knew Oliver are hoping for answers in his death. Originally, police said they had very little evidence of who could be responsible for the hit-and-run crash at this intersection. Now they say they have a bit more thanks to some surveillance video, but they're still looking for help in identifying 2 potential suspects. Lexington police say video shows a silver or gray Kia Spectra, like this one, hitting Oliver. They say they're looking for a white couple. The woman appeared to have dreadlocks.
Part of our community is to let our folks know that they won't be forgotten.
Ramsey says the Catholic Action Center will hold a short service for Oliver on Sunday at 1 p.m. Covering the news in Lexington, Catherine Collins, LEX 18 News.
Of all the traditions on Transylvania University's campus, this just might be the creepiest.
A look inside the tomb where 4 students will be spending this Halloween night. That's next on LEX 18 News at 6.